Today I'm going to be showing you exactly how you can analyze what type of marketing is the best for your small business. Whether it be Google ads, Facebook ads, print marketing, whatever it is, I'm going to show you how to analyze each type of marketing and determine the one that's going to give you the best results. Because there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that this video will help you understand it. Now, I've made some really in-depth videos about what I'm about to show you, and I need you to understand this before we jump in to different types of platforms like Facebook and Google and all the rest of it. Because everyone always asks me, where's the best place to get, spend your marketing dollars and get more customers? That's what we're going to break down today and show you how to analyze that in your market. But the first thing I need you to realize is that marketing is like a funnel, and that is at the top of the funnel, you have clicks that come in the top, and you can measure your cost per click, or your CPC. Then as it goes through here, people go to your website, they call you, whatever it might be, then you can figure out the cost per lead, or the CPL. And then all I really care about is coming out the bottom in the form of customers. And this is also known as customer acquisition cost, or CAC. So these are the important numbers that you need to know. I made much more detailed videos about this at MBAforentrepreneurs.com and landscapebusinesscourse.com, breaking this whole funnel down and figuring out how to optimize each of these. But the reason I'm talking about this today is because there is no singular way to look at cost per click, cost per lead, or customer acquisition cost and determine the best type of marketing. That's not the case. Because here's the deal. As I'm going to show today, if I have a $1 cost per click, a $50 cost per lead, and a $100 customer acquisition cost to get a customer, and then I have a comparable marketing method that gets me a customer for $50, and my customer acquisition cost changes from $100 to $50, they say, well, that's great. I get twice as many customers for the same price. In theory, that's correct, but it's still not enough to know that that is the best marketing method. And here's why I'm making this video. I want to show you how you want to actually analyze different types of marketing. Because here's the thing. You're going to go to a YouTube video, you're hearing me or someone else talk about Facebook ads or Google ads or every door direct mail or whatever it is, and you're gonna be like, oh, that's the next thing I gotta do. I gotta try that, or I gotta do Home Advisor or Angie's List. What am I supposed to do? Here's how you break it down. Now I'm going to show 3 different types of marketing, and we're just gonna make these up on the fly. So forgive me if my math is wrong. I'm just gonna use my calculator, and hopefully this works out okay. We're gonna compare Google, Facebook, and let's do every door direct mail. Okay. And so again, every door direct mail is going to be putting, say, postcards or flyers in the mailbox of every single person through the USPS and their postal service. So I'm not going to make, I'm not trying to make a point here when I am saying a certain customer acquisition cost or anything for these platforms. I'm not at all. I'm simply using it. You could interchange Google, Facebook, and every door direct mail for a host of other ways to do marketing. I'm just using this as an example, all right? So the first thing is, remember, the only thing that really matters is our cost per click, our cost per lead, and our customer acquisition cost, all right? So I'm gonna put that first and foremost, and you can literally do this over the course of time and figure out all of these things. So cost per click, cost per lead, and customer acquisition cost. Again, same thing over here. Cost per click, cost per lead, customer acquisition cost, all right? These are the numbers that you need to know first, but it's not the entire picture. So let's go ahead and just throw in some numbers here for the sake of example. Let's assume that in Google, our cost per click is $2, our cost per lead is, let's say, $20, and we close 1 out of 5 of those, so our $100 customer acquisition cost. So cost per click is the amount of money you're gonna have to spend on Google ads. It's very easy to find this number, just going on your Google Ads manager and finding out what your cost per click is. Very, very simple. Cost per lead is going to be how many of those clicks do I need in order to get a lead? In other words, you gotta look at your website and be like, okay, how many actually estimate request forms or phone calls or emails came from Google? Now, in this case, I'm assuming 1 out of 10 converted into leads. Then, out of the people who became leads, how many actually became paying customers? In this case, I'm assuming 1 out of 5. That'd be my close ratio. I'd have a 20% close ratio in this case, and that would assume my customer acquisition cost of $100. Now, let's look at the cost per click on Facebook. All right, so maybe I am only paying 50 cents for my cost per click. And so my cost per lead is gonna be $30, because let's just assume that since they're on Facebook, they're not looking for my services, and therefore I actually get only 1 out of 60 are gonna become a lead. And then I have a really good close ratio, let's just say, for example, and so now my customer acquisition cost is $90. All right, now let's look at every door direct mail. The thing about every door direct mail is I don't have necessarily a click. Now, in theory, you could drive them to your website, but typically, cost per click is going to be much easier to track accurately on something like Facebook or Google because they're going to give you those metrics as part of your ads manager. Whereas every direct mail, if you have a phone number and other ways of communicating with you, you might never know that they actually came from this every door direct mail, and the click part is hard. So cost per click, in this case, it's not online. There's going to be less clicks. People might type in your website, but that's not a click. So I can't really get a cost per click. But I can definitely get a cost per lead by asking customers where they heard about us, and if they mention the postcard or the flyer that I put in their mail, in every direct mail, I can determine that cost per lead. Now let's assume that this one is $50 is the cost per lead. In other words, it cost me $50 in postage and print paper and all the rest of it is to manufacture one lead. And now let's assume that it takes 3 of those. Takes 3 leads in order to get a customer. That would impute a $150 customer acquisition cost because I need 3 of these leads. I have a 33% close ratio. Therefore, my customer acquisition cost is $150. Again, don't get wrapped up in these numbers. I'm not trying to make a point with which platform is better. I'm simply showing you how to analyze the different methods of marketing in your business. You can use whatever you want. But this is the thing. This is not where you can just say, oh, great, Facebook's the best because the customer acquisition cost is the best. That is not the case because not all customers are created equal. Here's what you really have to do. You have to ultimately, I've talked about this in my other videos, your business is simply a number of customer acquisition cost in, money into the business, and what is my return on that customer. All right? So what that implies is if I know that not all customers are created equal, how do I determine how valuable a customer is? Well, you have to know the lifetime value of the customer. All right, so the next thing I want you to track is the lifetime value of the customer. This is very important, and this is going to be harder to track if you're brand new. Simply because you're not going to have years of data to know exactly how long, on average, customers stay with you. However, you can track on a monthly basis what your attrition number is, and from the attrition, the amount of customers leaving, you can determine how much on average someone's going to stay with you. For example, if your attrition is, say, 20% over the course of, let's say that your attrition is 25% over the course of your first 6 months. That would mean that on average, over the course of a year, it's 50%, which would mean that your the lifespan of a customer is going to average 2 years. All right? So if I know that the lifetime value of a customer is simply going to be 2 years in span, so then I need to determine what is the value per year of the customer. And let's just go ahead and assume that is an average in our business of, let's say, $1,000 per year is the average revenue per customer. All right, so it's the amount of revenue that's generated on an annual basis. Now, if we determine based upon our monthly or 6-month or annual attrition rate that our customer typically stays with us for 2 years, then we know that the lifetime value of that customer is going to be $2,000. Now, if we can also look at these customers that we got from Facebook and determine, hey, they actually stay with us for 3 years. Okay, great. Well, then $3,000 would actually be the lifetime value. Then over here, for our every door direct mail campaign, we figure, you know what, they actually stay with us for 5 or 6 years. Let's say 6 years, they're staying with us on average. These customers, we track them over the course of, say, 6 months. We figured out our attrition rate. They stay with us on average for 6 years. Great, that means your lifetime value of that customer is going to be $6,000. All right, so now we know the lifetime value of each of these type of marketing platforms and what their customers bring in terms of lifetime value. Let's go ahead and assume, though, that we have a 20% profit margin on all revenue, okay? So now what we can do is, okay, the lifetime value of the course of 2 years from a person that came from Google is going to mean that I have a profit of $400. Okay, so profit from the customers that came from Google is $400. Lifetime value, $300,000 from these people who came from Facebook. Again, 20% of that is going to mean that I have $600 in profit from the customers that came from Facebook. Again, over the course of their whole lifespan. Then I have over here customer acquisition cost, $150 for every door direct mail. And I know that over the course of their 6 years, they're going to stay with me. I make $6,000, which is, again, at a same 20% profit margin, is going to be $1,200. Okay, this is the part that you got to get to, because now we got to determine what the best marketing method is. We've got to look at the customer acquisition cost, input in, and then output, which is the return on investment. How much do I have to spend to get the customer? And then that customer, how much are they worth to me? All right, so let's go ahead and look at Google. The customers that came from Google, we know what their profit is over the course of their lifetime. So I know that the input into the business was $100. The output was profit. What was that meaning? I have a 4x return on my money for these customers. In other words, the box that I've created, when I put a customer in from Google, when this lead that comes from Google comes into the business, it comes out 2 years later with a 4x return. That's awesome. I turned $100 into $400. This is the beautiful thing about a small business, is the ability to take customer acquisition costs and then put a massive multiple on it in terms of return on investment. That's a pretty fantastic ROI. To get a 4x on a stock or even real estate over the course of just 2 years, pretty phenomenal. Now let's go ahead and look at Facebook. We know we keep them on average for 3 years at $3,000 in lifetime value, 20% profit. Let's go ahead and run the math on this bad boy, because now what we're going to do is we're going to take this same $600 in profit that we made on this customer, $600, divide that by our customer acquisition cost. Guess what? We have a 6.67x return on our investment. This is fantastic. Okay, 6.67. All right, so let's go move on to every door direct mail. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take, again, the profit that they generate over the course of their entire lifespan of the customer, divide that out by our customer acquisition cost of $150, and guess what we got here? An 8x return. 8x return, ROI on our money. We turned $150 into $1,200. But get this, even though we had the highest customer acquisition cost from every door direct mail, we had the best return on our investment. This is why I say not all customers are created equal. Because guess what? The customers that came from every door direct mail stayed with us so much longer that they actually had a much better return, even though they cost much more. And this is why when people are like, should I use Home Advisor? Should I use Angie's List? A lot of times those are much lower quality customers that aren't going to stay with you as long, and therefore, yeah, you might get a good customer out of them, but you literally are getting twice as much return on your marketing dollars if you were to spend it on every door direct mail in comparison to Google. And again, I don't care about the platform here. I'm just showing you when you compare the different marketing platforms for your business, this is what you want to do. Look at customer acquisition cost, money in, and then what's the lifetime value of that customer, dividing that by my margin is going to give me what is my return on my investment. It's the only thing that matters in business. If you figure out this, and if you crack this code, you will absolutely blow your business out of the water. I recently made a video about the defense, offense, and special teams of your business. That is the attrition rate, that is the close ratio, and that is the re-engagement of customers. And so watch that video. It's on MBAforentrepreneurs.com. It's also on landscapebusinesscourse.com, but it goes over this in even further detail. But this is how you break down marketing in your business. Everyone's like, where do I get the best customers? Or, what's the best marketing platform? Should I do it on Facebook? This is what you do. You track over the course of time where the leads are coming from, how much you have to spend to get each customer, and then how long do those customers stay with you? Very, very important. That's why you can't just say, oh, well, just take Facebook. It's the lowest customer acquisition cost. No. It doesn't have the best ROI. Not all customers are created equal. On average, every door direct mail campaign, these people that came from that campaign stay with us on average 6 years versus 3, which means that they had a much higher profitability and ROI over the course of their lifespan. I was literally able to 8x my return on the customer acquisition cost, the money I spent on marketing. This is why I'm so passionate about people spending money on marketing in their business, because if you actually understood these numbers, you would realize that there is no truck or piece of equipment that is going to get you an 8x return over the course of the next several years, even a 4x return over the next 2 years. That doesn't happen. It doesn't go up in value. Those tools, those equipment are simply the mechanism required to provide a service to the customer so that you can make this arbitrage of a customer getting it for $100 and you profiting $400 over the course of a couple of years. That is what a business is about. That is how you build a great business, has a great multiple, great enterprise value, high profit margins, and you can predictably grow and scale the company very quickly.